Hey guys, T-Bolt here. Today we gotta look at the Tier 5 Tech Tree French Destroyer, the Guep. I got Violet on the screen there. I got Vine and Bay currently. Seems to be working out. I've been tinkering with that build as we've been going up and down the line. So far I like it quite a bit. Here we got a game on Trap, Domination Mode game. Picked this one out to talk about how the French destroyers in particular should be dealing with the enemy destroyers, but also I think it's applicable to Russian Soviet destroyers. They both have kind of the same philosophy. Yes, you can technically increase the concealment quite a bit on them, make them more competitive, but they're still going to be on the losing end of the spectrum when it comes to concealment, even if you have a double concealment Swirsky Bay build, 16.2 points in each of them. You're still going to be outspotted by a lot of the destroyers out there. So, in my mind, we embrace the negatives, I guess you would call it. Now, on the Russians, I don't put any concealments. On these, I at least got Bay on there just to tighten them up a little bit. The torpedoes on the French destroyers, much more competitive than the Russians. The Russians, you have the Leningrad Premium and the Tashkent at the top right now that have workable torps. The rest of them are suicide type torps, so in that case we're just going to abandon the concealment completely. Here, because we have pretty good torpedo systems, we're going to be utilizing Bay. We'll get that concealment somewhat competitive, but we got to expect to be outspotted by most destroyers. How you counter that, if you're trying to duel them one-on-one, you kind of generally should know roughly where they are. If you can just charge that spot, use your speed, close that gap very quickly. Here the Fubuki elects to start shooting, and because we looked at the roster earlier, there were no destroyer divisions. I'm under the assumption this is the only destroyer over here at the moment. Looking on the map now, we do see another one pop up, but we also see no support ships in the close vicinity. So that's kind of the name of the game with these French destroyers. Very strong guns in a straight up gunfight. If both ships are just sitting there shooting at each other, no other, influences on the outcome, the French ships should melt down the other destroyers pretty quickly. The problem is all the other destroyers have the smoke option. A lot of them have sonars. They have other consumables that these French destroyers don't have. So we need to make sure we're engaging them in straight up 1v1 gunfights. Here, the guy uses the consumable, the smoke to disengage. That's fine. We're going to change our course just to make sure we're not hitting any torpedoes. But we're looking on the map here. We're making sure they don't have any support ships close, and then we re-engage. If there's cruisers, battleships behind this Icarus, then once we drop spot, we just sail away and reset the fight. Reposition, kind of let them forget about us for a little bit, then get back to work. But here, again, he has no close support ships. Both of these destroyers kind of came over here on their own, and the rest of their team decided to clump up north of the A objective or whatever over there. So kind of bizarre positioning on the red team's part, but pretty normal as well in terms of what you're going to see usually in this game. So just to recap, we took the Fubuki on and what looked like a 1v1 situation, largely won that engagement. Then the Icarus popped up that still appeared to be roughly a 1v1 situation, so we took that fight, ended up eliminating him. Now the Fubuki's over here, still going to be a 1v1. He's torping this ship, so I'm assuming he's closing in. He's actually shooting as well. I think that battleship must have shot a salvo. Then the guy plopped a smoke down, and then he could see him through the smoke because of the smoke fire penalty on the battleship. If I'm that destroyer, I'm braking to the northwest, and that's what this guy ends up doing. But a lot of destroyers are so narrowly focused on torping battleships that they wouldn't disengage and try and stay alive right here. They just stay close to this battleship and keep torping them. So that's why I like to go south here. This is a little bit of a risky play because if this guy gets away, then I've taken myself out of the fight by 2, 3, 4 minutes just by going all the way over here. That's a long time to not be influencing the fight, but number one, keeping that battleship alive was important. Number two, more important, killing this destroyer. So kind of rolled the dice on how we went about it. Luckily, we do end up catching him here. The worst case scenario would be if we went all the way around here and he managed to squeak out the back door and get away undetected. Then we've wasted a lot of time and we don't kill the destroyer. But like I said, we're about to spot this guy any minute, and that makes it worthwhile. There he pops up. Gamble pays off. He, of course, succumbed to the desire to torp the battleships. But that whole play there violates the rule of thumb that I like to espouse. Go to where you think the ships are going, not to where they were, especially if you're chasing them around, like around an island here. His correct play would have been to go northwest, west, get out of that zone, escape that way. Because we chased him from behind, i.e. from where he was, not to where he was going, he could have actually gotten away from there and been gone. He could have vanished for the rest of the match. Could have potentially contributed to a throw that play. So it was high risk in that regard. We could have technically just parked on the directly west of that big island there and then kind of monitored for him to leave either direction. There were options, but again, we predicted that he was going to be so gung-ho about torping that guy, and it paid off. Anyway, now we got to get to B. We control C, that's the flank. We control B, that's the middle. Domination mode, you got to control flank, control the middle, then you win the game. So we're going back to B to help maintain our control over that. You're going to see me try and ping this thing once in a while. You guys know how hard it is to ping islands in this game. Like, using the comms, there's only 2 or 3 like valid commands that have any strategic significance whatsoever. Pinging the objectives is definitely the most important thing, and it's like the hardest one to do, so kind of annoying there. This whatever this guy is, Ismail or whatever, decides to head us off. He wants to make this as difficult as possible for everyone. We appreciate that. We, of course, swear a sacred oath to never protect him for the remainder of the game, leave him to his own devices, and then we proceed back to B. Of course, that is the main goal, defend B. Getting back into the destroyer aspect of it, though, we're going to keep an eye on the map now as the rest of this play goes on. One of our main goals is to find that other destroyer and defeat him. I believe it's a Jaguar, French destroyer on the enemy team. So one of our main roles as a destroyer, it really doesn't matter what destroyer you are in. One of your main roles is to help counter the destroyers. Every destroyer has different tools available to it to counter the enemy destroyers. This one has the ripping guns. We've already used our reload boost, of course, but that would give you a straight-up advantage over any destroyer that doesn't have the reload boost. But even against the Jaguar, we can assume at this point in time in the game, he's used his, so we should be able to beat him in a straight-up fight. You can see there on the map, we ping him, but that's where he is. He's actually going, he's down there. They're trying to finish off whatever ship that is way down on the south, on the white line, trying to wrap up the flank. That's fine, that's probably what they should do, but they need to get that done as quickly as possible, then focus their attention on the cap. So we're not in a major hurry here. We do have an opportunity to help contribute to that warspite going down. We take him down. That's going to establish the ship lead. We, of course, have the cap lead that we've maintained for some time now. So the score is looking good. We don't need to be pushing into them. We don't need to be aggressive. All we have to do is sit back and relax. If they want to try and win the game, which a lot of times the red team won't try and win the game, but sometimes they will. If they want to do that, they have to come to us. So I'm trying to get forward here, trying to spot these ships as best I can. That'll allow our team to take shots at whatever targets they feel are the most attractive to them. And then we can, of course, get into the launching torpedo game, try and do some damage that way. At the same time, we're continuing to watch for the Jaguar. Now, this is the most important part here. That's the one ship that can kind of really start to foul things up for us. If we can remove their destroyer, then that really hampers the Reds. Their eyes and ears are gone at that point in time, and the torpedo threat against the big capital battleships is gone. So it's just kind of the last piece to really wrap this game up. New Mexico's closing in here. We're getting spotted. We're going to help take a couple shots whenever that happens. You can see, if you look in the white ring there, most of the enemy ships are kind of at the edge of our white ring. We always have the option to disengage pretty quickly. We, of course, have nearly a full health pool as well, so don't have to be terrified of getting spotted at the moment. Here it looks like we're on the verge of getting some juicy damage on the California. Looks like a 3 torp hit to me. But at the last second there, the fuses or the propeller fuel or whatever the hell's going on there dies off and he gets away scot-free instead of getting wrecked. But that was pretty close. Now the Jaguar popped up again, and that's really good. You can see he's creating some space. He's on the front edge of that west or the eastern front of the red grouping there. Map control wise, we really have about 3/4 of the map, northwest corner, northeast corner, southeast corner. They control the bottom quarter that corresponds with the one cap they control. So because that destroyer on their team's kind of on the leading edge there, that gives us an opportunity to potentially deal with it. Keeping an eye on them. What we don't want to be doing is rushing into positions where that destroyer is 4 or 5 kilometers in front of a couple battleships or a cruiser or something like that. Because if we take that fight, he's going to keep us spotted, and then those support ships are going to blast us out of the water. So we're being conservative. Again, we don't need to make moves in this game. People that always make moves when they have the lead in domination mode are the guys who have low win rates because they don't recognize we've already won the game. We're going to continue to take lots of risks. Those risks don't pay off very often for them, and then the game's lost. So conservative, but we're still have an eye on trying to do stuff. Looking on the map, looking on the situation here, I guess me watching this back, this is a little bit of a risky play. I'd probably still suggest to myself, give this Jaguar time to at least come through this gap here. By us going through the gap, we immediately get spotted. Now we can't disengage because of this island to the left of us here. I was in my mind thinking, okay, we're pretty fast. I don't think I realized it was a Jaguar at the time. I thought I could outspeed this guy, and due to the fact that this island to my left, you know, we can already turn to the north right now, so it's not a huge island to get around, but that's potentially very fatal, especially if that guy preemptively launched torps and then kind of knocked out our engine. That could have been like a death sentence, or those support ships behind them, which are the ones I'm more worried about. Had they been a kilometer or two closer, had they been around, you know, where they are now on the map, they're just beginning to get angles on us. Had they been there when we came through that gap, we'd for sure be dead. So maybe, you know, I initially was being fairly conservative, kind of waiting for them to come to me. Then I'm thinking to myself, let's just take a chance, get rid of that destroyer, and we got away with it there, but a little bit of a risky play. You always got to understand as a destroyer, or any ship really, if you have an island behind you, i.e. if you draw a line straight from the enemy that you're dealing with through you, and then if the line keeps going through you and it hits an island immediately behind you, that's a really bad position because you can't disengage there. If you turn out to try and get away, you're going to beat yourself on the island, then you're really boned. Anyway, hopefully you guys see now why I picked this game. We were able to go kind of sequentially through, pick profitable engagements where we could take on these destroyers, which is a strength of the French destroyers. You just have to do it in the right situation. When they don't have the support ships, when you kind of control the engagement. That's a look at the Guepard for you guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.